tonight. My name is Karen Daniel. I'm the Vice President of Programs at YSA, and we're thrilled to have a lineup of experts around the issue of growing and recovering food as strategies to fight childhood hunger. So we will briefly tell you about who you'll be hearing from tonight. Our first speaker will be Matt Schnarr. Matt is the Expansions and Partnerships Manager at the Campus Kitchens Project. Lilia Smelkova is the Campaign Manager at Food Day. Neil Suri is the Coordinator and Website Manager at FoodSync. And Sara Gassman is the Director of Member Support and Communications at Food Recovery Network. And we're also joined by Chandra Jenkins, who is the Executive Director at Sodexo Foundation, who is the sponsor of this webinar and a great deal of the work that YSA does around strategies to fight childhood hunger. So with that, Chandra, would you like to address the group?
Thank you, Karen, and thank you and welcome to everyone to today's webinar, Engaging Youth and Fighting Childhood Hunger through Growing and Recovering. My name is Chandra Jenkins, and I'm the Executive Director for Sodexo Foundation and have the pleasure of working with Youth Service America and several of the nonprofit partners on today's call, including the Campus Kitchens Project, where today Sodexo supports 16 various locations throughout the country, and Food Recovery Network, where Sodexo supports 20 chapters. One of the main priorities for the Sodexo Foundation's philanthropic activities is to engage youth in the national anti-hunger movement by encouraging and educating a new generation of passionate and dedicated leaders who will advocate for this cause among their peers and friends. Today's webinar is designed to introduce young people, you, to the issue of childhood hunger, and to raise awareness of both the issue and the solution. Childhood hunger is a major problem in the United States, and it's solvable. We need you, the next generation, to be part of the solution. So today you will hear from some amazing anti-hunger leaders as they share fun, innovative ways to get involved in growing nutritious food, in recovering surplus food, and educating and advocating for food policies. Enjoy today's webinar and join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. You can connect with Sodexo on Facebook, /Sodexo Stop Hunger, and on Twitter, @StopHungerUSA. I'd also like to thank the team at YSA for bringing this webinar to life and for helping reach young people to make an impact on childhood hunger. Thank you, YSA. And Karen, I'd like to turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Chandra, and thank you again for Sodexo Foundation's generous support. As Chandra said, childhood hunger is a major problem in America, and before we turn things over to our presenters, I wanted to share a couple of things to think about in terms of imagining the scope of the problem. You'll see here on this slide that more than 16 million children and youth in America live in households that struggle to put food on the table. That's about 1 out of 5 kids. So you can see the scope of the problem that we're struggling with. And nearly half of all people who use the SNAP program or the food stamp program are kids. When you put that together with a second thing to think about is the amount of food that is not put to good use or wasted in the United States. You'll see here that about 1/3 of all food produced for human consumption each year is wasted. That Americans waste more than 40% of their food. So clearly, those two ideas put together are both troubling, but also exciting to think about the possibilities of how we might turn things around in order to feed more young people that are hungry. And the organizations that will be sharing ideas with you today know a lot of exciting strategies about how to do that. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to our first presenter, Matt Schnarr from the Campus Kitchens Project.
Great. Thanks, Karen. As Karen said, my name is Matt Schnarr, and I'm the Expansion and Partnerships Manager here at the Campus Kitchens Project. And the Campus Kitchens Project, which was founded in 2001, is empowering student leaders all across the country to create innovative and really sustainable solutions to hunger and food waste. Yes. Do I have control of the slides? Or
nope, that'll be me. I'll follow along with you.
Great. Perfect. All right, so we go to the next slide just to learn a little bit about exactly what is a campus kitchen. So across the country on both high school and college campuses, students are recovering food that would otherwise have gone to waste from their campus dining halls, as well as from local community restaurants, grocery stores, farms, and even farmers markets. So I go to the next slide. And then they take that food that they've recovered and they bring it to their on-campus dining hall kitchens and put that space to use after hours, where they then create and prepare balanced and nutritious meals. Next. And then with those meals that they create, they are then delivered to a variety of local community agencies or individuals who are struggling with food insecurity in their community. So campus kitchens can deliver to shelters, after-school programs for youth, even individuals and families in neighborhoods and housing complexes in their community. So let's quickly take a look at kind of what we did as a network just last school year alone. So last school year, at about 36 schools across the country, almost 20,000 student volunteers contributed nearly 75,000 hours of service at their campus kitchens. So students contributed to their program in a variety of ways, from creating and delivering meals as volunteers to really guiding their program as members of their leadership team. Those students were then recovered over 900,000 pounds of food that would have otherwise gone to waste, and then were able to prepare over 270,000 meals that were then transported and served to over 9,000 clients at over 300 agencies. This adding over $1 million in economic value back into the communities that we're serving, and which really allows the agencies that we serve to focus their time and effort and money on their mission, which is empowering their clients that they serve. And so since our founding in 2001, our network that is now about to be at 43 campuses has recovered over 3 million pounds of food and has created over 2 million meals with that food. Go to the next slide. But here at the Campus Kitchens Project, we're not just about the meals and not just about the food and the numbers. We always say that we're never going to feed our way out of hunger, and that food is really not the only answer to this problem. At the Campus Kitchens Project, we encourage all of our students to think about using their food as a tool to enter into deeper relationships with their clients that they're serving. We know that there are clearly underlying root causes of hunger that might have nothing to do with actually being hungry, and that these need to be addressed along with meeting the immediate needs with food. So by starting with those meals, students are able to really get their foot in the door and start relationships with the clients that they are serving to eventually learn about those other needs that they might have. And once these other needs have been identified by the clients, students can create community-focused programs to meet those needs, which are really tailored specifically to their community and clients that they serve. So some examples of these programs include, but are really not limited to, nutrition education classes for youth or seniors, community and campus garden initiatives, mentoring or tutoring programs for youth, health and wellness classes for older adults, and community-wide dinners for various populations in their community. So we provide schools with great resources and curricula to really start these types of programs if they desire, and that's what their clients need that they're serving. Go to the next slide. Also, student leadership development is really a core component of what the Campus Kitchens Project mission is about. Since students who lead a campus kitchen are in essence really running their own nonprofit on campus, being given really high levels of responsibility, which gives them tangible, work-relatable skills that are not only transferable into the classroom when they're at school and on campus, but also into their future careers after they graduate. So every year we conduct surveys for both of our current campus kitchen leaders and also alumni from across the country to measure our success in training tomorrow's leaders. And this year's survey really demonstrated the tremendous impact that volunteers with campus kitchens have as student leaders. And 95% of our students that were surveyed said that their leadership skills that they acquired through campus kitchens will make them more likely to find a job. And 98% of the students served said that they feel more confident with their overall leadership abilities after being a part of campus kitchens. We go to the last slide there. So if you're interested in learning more about the Campus Kitchens program or getting one started at your high school or college, it's really simple. If you visit our website, which is on the top of this slide, which is campuskitchens.org/startakitchen. And we can give you access to our online campus kitchen planner, which is really a step-by-step guide of how to bring this program to your school. If you're also interested in receiving startup grants worth $5,000 to help really plan and launch your campus kitchen, and we have many grant opportunities throughout the year as well. In fact, today we actually began one of our week-long launch grant video competitions where 5 schools are currently in the running to receive 3 $5,000 grants to get their programs up and running. So you can also go and vote for the videos that they submitted if you visit our website. And if this is something you're interested in, we also will be having another video competition very similar to this one in the spring semester, which is sponsored by the Sodexo Foundation, where your school could potentially win one of these grants. So you go to the final slide there. So if anyone has any questions or wants to learn more about our program, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email, or you can also follow us at Twitter at Campus Kitchens, or just find out more on our website as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was great, very helpful information. You will have a chance to ask Matt and all of the presenters questions toward the end of the session. And before we move on to our next presenter, Mike and I have collected a few stories of some of our favorite projects that are relevant to this topic, and Mike will share the first one with you.
Yeah. So our first service story of the evening is about Raquel Greenfield, who is a 17-year-old from New Jersey who received a Sodexo Foundation youth grant from YSA last year for her project, Feed with a Seed. And this really goes into the growing food piece that you'll be hearing about next. And she worked with her local Jewish community center and other teams there to produce these planters that had seeds, soil, and nutrition information to provide to families in need in the county where she lives. And so you'll see a picture of the planters as she's packing them all up, and then to the right, some of the pieces that are included. And so you'll see how to take care of the garden and how to grow it, nutritional facts, how to eat on a budget, how to use the vegetables that are being grown in the garden, and a little bit about the program. And you can learn more about her organization and how you might replicate it at her website at feedwithaseed.org. And as Karen said, if you have questions, we'll have Q&A time at the end, but you can also use the chat feature or the questions feature the right-hand sidebar of the webinar tool. And the presenters will be monitoring those questions throughout, and so we'll hopefully be able to answer a lot of those as we go, in addition to what we talk about at the end.
Great. Thanks, Mike. So next, I would like to introduce Lilia Smelkova from Food Day.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting Food Day to talk about such an important topic. Food Day is on October 24th every year, and I'm Food Day campaign manager. And Food Day was created several years ago with the idea that if different groups working on different issues in the food world come together, we are much stronger together. And by one day of action, when everyone has an event, an initiative, and tries to improve our food system, we can make a real difference. And so Food Day priorities include promoting safer and healthier diets, supporting sustainable farms, reducing hunger, and improving food access, improving environment, and also supporting fair working conditions. Last year, there were 4,700 events around the country during the week of October 24th. And this year, just 10 days before Food Day, we already have more than 7,000 planned. Food Day is possible thanks to a group of amazing partners, and that includes National Week Association, Mazon, Jewish Response to Hunger, Share Our Strength, and It's No Kid Hungry and Cooking Matters, Youth Service America, Campus Kitchen, and many more. And on October 24th, we hope that everyone can make a step to make a change, or in their own diets, or helping the people around them, and make that 10% change that slowly will help us to move the needle in the food system. And solve the food-related problems in the communities at the local, state, and national level. And more than 300 campuses participate in Food Day every year. We have a guide for campus organizers on our website. We partner with many groups like Campus Kitchen chapters, organize Food Day events, Real Food Challenge, Broad Food Day on campuses through their network. For example, this Food Day, Temple University in Philadelphia will have a food justice panel and a discussion about how to reduce hunger in Philadelphia and support the work of groups working in communities. Several years ago, Food Day team helped a charter school in Mott Haven to open a rooftop garden for its students. It's the poorest congressional district in the country in South Bronx, and we worked with the school to bring their the skills how to grow crops to the students. And we really believe that with America's resources there is no excuse to hunger, and together we can make a difference. And there are numerous stories of how people around the country use Food Day to make that difference. For example, in Oakland, Food Day has been working for several years with Acta Non-Berber Youth Urban Farm Project, and every year they host a Food Day celebration for more than 500 participants. This year they helped to plant a garden on Global Youth Service Day on April 11th through 13th at their local elementary school, with the idea to harvest it in the fall on Food Day itself. And the founder of the garden, Kelly, works mostly with the youth between 7 and 11 years old from low-income African American and Latin American households to teach them to grow their own food and to sell the produce to the community with the idea that the money from the sales will go to a savings account for their future use. And she also has an amazing event planned for this Food Day. And with Food Day just 10 days away, how you can get involved. You can go to the website foodday.org, and there are thousands of events registered on the map. There are many gleaning events happening around the country, many volunteer days at food banks and food pantries. We encourage everyone to plant a garden on Global Youth Service Day in April, and also harvest and donate the food on and around Food Day on October 24th. Host lectures and demonstrations, eat for a week on a SNAP budget, and also join their Food Day Twitter conference on October 24th, where for 5 hours we will speak on 5 different aspects of our food system, with 1 hour dedicated to food justice and hunger. And we hope that by joining all the forces together for 1 day throughout the year, we can make a difference and improve access to food, teach students and children in schools to grow their own food, to help other people in the community, and make their healthy and affordable access to food a reality, not only on Food Day, but 365 days a week.
Thank you so much, Lilia. It sounds like this year's Food Day is going to be amazing.
We are looking forward.
Absolutely, so are we. Let me turn it back to Mike to share another story with you.
So Katie's Krops is one of our favorite grantees from over the years here at YSA, recipient of several YSA grants, including another Sodexo Foundation Youth Grant recipient. And she started her organization at the age of 9 after she planted a head of lettuce from a school project at the end of the school year, and over the summer grew to the big head of lettuce you see on the right-hand side of your screen, over 40 pounds, which is an amazing amount of lettuce, and decided that she should put that to good use and donated it to a local food bank, and then decided to help other kids try to do the same thing of growing vegetable gardens with the goal of donating the produce to those who need it in their communities. So she started a whole organization herself to help other young people do this, and she actually offers her own grants, and those are also open right now for youth ages 9 to 16 to start Katie's Krops gardens. So you can find out more about that opportunity and her entire organization at katieskrops.com.
Thanks, Mike. Now I'm delighted to introduce our next presenter, Neil Suri, who with his organization FoodSync is doing some very powerful work with technology to address childhood hunger. Neil?
Hi, everybody. My name is Neil Suri. I'm a junior at Hackley School, and I'm the project coordinator for FoodSync. And essentially what FoodSync is that it's a youth-driven, technology-driven food recovery program. And what that means is that we pick up leftovers at the end of the day from various bakeries, restaurants, and organizations, and we deliver them to shelters and non-governmental organizations. And the way we use technology is that we use crowd mapping technology, and that's open source mapping. So that allows us to increase the transparency of our program by allowing viewers to essentially view our pickups and deliveries on a real-time basis. And so essentially what FoodSync is, it's designed to address this food and hunger paradox. And I think the other presenters did a very nice job of going over this. Specifically, while about 870 million people go hungry daily, 30 to 50% of food produced around the world goes to waste. So while these exorbitant amounts of food are being wasted, there is also this problem of hunger. So if we can go to the next slide. How FoodSync got started is pretty interesting. My sister, Natasha, observed my other sister, Sara, who was working at a local bakery, bring home bags and bags and heaps of pastries, rolls, bagels home that would otherwise be discarded. And so essentially she got the idea with a friend because she was essentially really shocked by these this food waste. She started FoodSync in the April of 2012. And what she did is she started picking up leftovers from just a few local bakeries, but since it's burgeoned to over 10 bakeries, over 10 shelters, and we save about 1,000 pounds of food each month just using a base of high school volunteers and adult volunteers. And if we could go to the next slide. We have a three-pronged plan of action. This essentially determines our focus and our own goals. The first prong of the plan of action is to survey local food vendors to gauge food waste in local areas. And what that means is that we use programs like Google Analytics to see how much food is being wasted on a daily basis in our local community, in these counties. And we want to see how exactly we can go about addressing these problems effectively. The second is using crowd mapping. Essentially, we use crowd mapping to facilitate the donation process. So our ultimate goal is to have shelters and restaurants linked. So a very good example of this is that we have a shelter that literally is placed 2 stores down from another restaurant that we pick up from. And the 2 had not been connected until FoodSync stepped in. And so it's these types of this is like an archetype of what we want to have. We want to have links between shelters and restaurants. And the third part of our plan of action is community education. We think this is a very, very important part because FoodSync is not simply about picking up and dropping off. While certainly that's an integral part of what we're doing, that helps us realize our own goals. We also hope to educate the community, and this starts with like grassroots education, specifically in schools and elementary schools. Next slide. And FoodSync, since April of 2012, when my sister started this program, it's since burgeoned, and it's not necessarily it's still a fledgling program, but we're looking to incorporate different schools across New York State and eventually extend our impact across the country. Right now we have about 30 high school and adult volunteers, and simultaneously we're able to salvage and redistribute about 1,000 pounds of food each month. And we have 2 FoodSync high school clubs, and these are very important in our goal in increasing community awareness about the intertwined problems of hunger and food waste. Next slide. And this is just a visual representation. We use social media handles like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'll give you the links at the end of this presentation. But we essentially use these social media handles to visualize our impact and allow viewers to essentially see what we're doing on a daily basis. These are just a few examples of how we package the food and how we deliver the food. Specifically, you can see the amounts of food that we deliver to local parishes. For example, one bagel cafe wastes about maybe 70 pounds of bagels a day, and if it was not for types of food recovery programs like these, this food would actually go to waste. Next slide. And now I know most of you are thinking, how can I get involved? This is crucial. You can either start your own FoodSync chapter in your own local community. You can become a volunteer for a local community food recovery organization. So that means going to programs like Campus Kitchens, Food Bank, all these other food recovery organizations that are in your local communities. And you don't necessarily have to start your own organization, but volunteering is really the crux of these food recovery organizations. And also you can talk to city council members about instituting donate or compost legislation. So really, if we are to move forward and if we are to move forward with our goals, FoodSync would like to institute donate or compost legislation, which means that restaurants either have to donate their food by participating in food recovery organizations, or they have to compost their food. And composting is very, very environmentally friendly, and it's another alternate mechanism that we can explore to actually reduce environmental degradation. And you see at the bottom, that's our website, foodsync.org. You can check it out, or you can email me at foodsync@gmail.com. Thank you.
Neil, this is one of the most exciting uses of technology I've ever seen. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Thanks.
With the last service story to share with you, back to Mike.
This is one of my favorite food recovery stories that I've ever seen from our grantees. Also a Sodexo Foundation youth grantee from past years. And this is at Oxford College of Emory University in Georgia. And they do this event every year where they get tons and tons and tons of leftover potatoes from area farmers that sell only the most perfect potatoes to the potato companies and to grocery stores, and they're looking for exactly the right size and exactly the right shape. But obviously the rest of the potatoes that aren't exactly the right shape are still plenty good potatoes, and otherwise would go to waste in the field. But the university partners with them to bring all of those potatoes to campus, and you can see the big pile of them there, and students for their Global Youth Service Day project package all of those potatoes, and so you'll see the students packaging and moving them into where they need to go, and they wound up with about 40,000 pounds of potatoes every year that they then donate to all of the feeding agencies in all of the counties around their city. And it winds up being, a bag of potatoes costs them, 5 cents to package and distribute, and just feeds an amazing amount of people with really good potatoes that would otherwise have just sat in the fields and wasted away. So a perfect food recovery project that you might think about replicating with different types of food that may be grown by farmers in your area.
That's a lot of potatoes. Thanks, Mike. Finally, I'd like to introduce our last presenter, Sara Gassman of the Food Recovery Network.
Great, thank you, and hello, everyone. I'll start off briefly with a recap of the issues of hunger and food waste here in America. If you want to go to the first slide there. So 1 in 6 Americans is food insecure, while 40% of all of our food is wasted. And 97% of the food that's wasted, or 36 million tons, ends up in the landfill. Only 3%, a tiny, tiny slice of the food waste pizza, is donated or composted. Food Recovery Network is changing that. Next slide, please. At nearly 100 colleges and universities across the country, student leaders are recovering surplus prepared food from campus dining halls and local restaurants and bringing it to hunger-fighting agencies in their communities. Since September of 2011, FRN chapters have recovered over 460,000 pounds of food, which is equivalent to 370,000 meals, or enough to provide 338 Americans 3 meals a day for an entire year. FRN was started as a student club at the University of Maryland 3 years ago and has since grown to include chapters in 27 states. And by the end of this school year, we're on track to be on 150 campuses and to have recovered a total of 610,000 pounds of food. So in the next slide, I'll talk about what exactly food recovery is. Food recovery refers to the collection of surplus food with the intent to distribute it to individuals that are facing food insecurity. And for FRN, that means that our chapters recover food that was prepared but not served at their campus dining halls. They recover bread and bagels from bakeries, sandwiches and salads from on-campus cafes, and some of our chapters are even supplementing that with produce that they glean just in time from campus farms and community gardens, places that are like that. And just 2 quick points supporting the practice of food recovery. As you can see in the EPA's food recovery hierarchy on the right here, after source reduction, food recovery is the next best thing to do with your extra food. And second, all good faith food donors are protected from liability under the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act. And you can find a guide to that act on our website, and if you're interested in kind of the legal aspects of food recovery, you should check out the University of Arkansas's Food Recovery Project. They've got an incredible guide to it. Next slide, please. So if this all sounds good to you, you should get involved with Food Recovery Network. Interested college students are welcome to apply to start a chapter at our website, foodrecoverynetwork.org. And once you do that, our new chapter, oh, please go back. Our new chapter coordinators will work with you one-on-one to recruit a team of volunteers. We'll train you on food safety protocols, including the most stylish way to wear a hairnet, like our University of Rochester team is exhibiting here. We'll prepare you to work with dining services on your campus, and we'll help you find a hunger-fighting partner agency in your community. We'll also figure out transportation and help you decide maybe you want to use a bicycle like Stephanie from UC Davis is doing in the bottom left, or a car or a zip car. And once you're up and recovering on a regular basis, like all of these teams, we'll support you with any supplies that you need and connect you virtually and in person to FRN chapter leaders across the country. So next slide. So just get involved. Start a chapter on your campus. If you visit our website, there's a map of all of our chapters across the country. You can find one near you and volunteer with them. And keep in touch. We're at Food Recovery on Twitter and Instagram, and on Facebook at Food Recovery Network. And many of our chapters have their own Facebook and Twitter handles as well. Thanks.
This is fascinating, Sara. Thank you so much. At this point, we have a little bit of time to answer your questions that you might have. Feel free to direct questions to any of the presenters.
We don't currently have any questions submitted, so if you have one, now is the perfect time to go ahead and type it into the chat box, and we'll go ahead and ask it of our presenters. All right. Yes, so we have a question for FoodSync about what are the liability constraints of people picking up and donating food from vendors, and is there any particular training involved?
Good
Probably
question.
Answered by Good Samaritan law that Sara talked about.
Yeah. So the Bill Samaritan, the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan law actually prevents a liability for, from any food recipient parties and food donating parties. So there's not necessarily any liability concerns, but what we do like to have, we do like to keep our food fresh when we donate it. So that either means keeping pastries in the refrigerator or the freezer before we donate them. So we don't want them to necessarily, we want to deliver high quality goods to these shelters.
You just bear with us one moment. We're looking at other questions.
One other question is, what suggestions or advice do you have when educating communities that have urban gardens or community gardens but don't fully utilize them to the extent that they could? And you know, I think we see this a fair amount of people that you know, plant a garden with the best of intentions and then don't necessarily use it to its full potential. So this maybe is a good question for Lilia, or I know, Matt, you mentioned some of your community programs that I think touch on this area as well.
Some of the events that...
Sorry, go ahead, Lilia.
Thank you, Matt. Some of the events that took place on Food Day were organized specifically by the community gardeners. And they would work with local food banks and pantries and either glean the food and then donate it to food banks and pantries, or invite the volunteers to come and glean. And something also that some other organizers did is that they would plant an extra bed of vegetables and know that that crop in the end, in the fall around Food Day, will go as a donation to a local food bank. So I think either is great. It's definitely very sad to see all the food go to waste, and we hope that not only on Food Day, but their gleaning from the food community gardens will happen.
Yeah, I would just mention, to echo that, our campus kitchens are one of our main missions and mottos is to use existing assets. And I think a lot of our campus kitchen students, instead of going out and maybe creating their own garden or doing a garden on campus, are able to connect with community gardens that have either maybe gone by the wayside a bit or are still really flourishing, but then they're able to use those community gardens as education platforms for community members or youth or even older adults to teach those folks where their food is coming from and teaching them more about the food system. So we've seen a lot of really cool success stories with being able to integrate students on campuses into their own community through the use of community gardens. So maybe if you're seeing a community garden in your community that's being underutilized, you might be able to use that as a really great connecting point, as a point for not only educating the community, but also being able to just connect and kind of break down barriers between your campus and the community itself.
I also want to mention a wonderful resource, ampleharvest.org. It's a platform that is a Food Day partner, and practically what they do, they have a database of the food pantries and the way for a backyard gardener to donate the extra crop to the food pantry. I think they have thousands of pantries mapped that accept donations from the gardeners, whether it's a community garden or someone who has just extra crops in the backyard.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. Mike, is there another one waiting?
Yes, it looks like we have a question about helping get food to people who may not be able to make it to where the food is being distributed. So older adults or maybe families who you know, maybe don't have the transportation to get to where food is being distributed. Does anyone have suggestions for where kind of other options for where how to get food to those people?
I can jump in really quickly with that, and not to just keep pointing at Canvas Kitchens, but the beauty of the Canvas Kitchen is that we also provide, or can provide, meals to individual families, and we're especially having a large focus. Well, we focus a lot on youth as well, but have also turned to a focus of older adults that might be dealing with issues of isolation or lack of transportation. So our ability to utilize, again, the assets of students on campus that have perhaps their own ways of transportation or ways of getting to some of those folks that might have fallen in between the cracks or, you know, can't get to the agencies that are serving meals, we're able to then utilize that student power to get the meals to them. So that's a really great, I think, asset of the Campus Kitchen program is kind of being able to meet people where they're at instead of having, and multiplying meals to places that already serve it is a wonderful thing, and we do that too, and I think that's absolutely necessary. I think a lot of times we forget about some of the folks that can't, like that question mentioned, can't quite get to the places where food is served.
And then the last, we did have several questions about whether this presentation would be available afterwards or whether we can send it out. We will do a follow-up email to everyone who attended with the link to the video archive, which will be also on YSA's website, and all of the links to all of the organizations and all of the programs and all of the opportunities mentioned, and so you'll have all of that for your reference going forward and to share with other people that you'll want to share it with.
Great, thanks, Mike. As we draw near the end of our webinar, we're delighted to let you know that there are several opportunities to support your project that you might be thinking about. Chandra, would you like to start?
Thanks, Karen. So in addition to educating and encouraging the next generation of passionate leaders to join the movement of ending childhood hunger, we believe, or we want to also reward and recognize young people for the amazing work that they're doing. So help us spread the word, and please share this on your social media and social assets using the hashtag Get5Give5. The Sodexo Foundation is offering scholarships now through December 5th to students fighting hunger. We want to reward students ages 5 to 25 who are working to end hunger in their communities. To support their innovative work, winners will get a $5,000 scholarship for school and a $5,000 matching grant to give to the hunger charity of their choice. So please visit sodexofoundation.org to apply, as well as get the official rules, additional information. Past scholars include a fourth grader who created a nonprofit that feeds thousands of families, a college junior who transformed vacant inner city lots into urban organic farms to benefit the community, and Natasha Suri, founder of FoodSync and relative of today's presenter Neil, as well as Katie Stagliano, founder of Katie's Krops. Her story was also shared on today's webinar. So please help us spread the word. We have $5,000 scholarships using the hashtag Get5Give5, and visit sodexofoundation.org to learn more. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Chandra. Several other opportunities that we wanted to let you know about. You heard from Mike's service story about the Katie's Krops grants that are available now through December 31st, and you'll see the website there again. You also heard from Matt about the Campus Kitchens Project Launch grants. Again, you'll see the website here for more information. And finally, opening today are YSA's Sodexo Foundation Youth Grants, which are $400 grants to support youth-led projects that take place during Global Youth Service Day, which will be April 17th to the 19th of 2015. We are accepting applications now through January 15th, and you can find that application on ysa.org/grants. Finally, we wanted to let you know that you can view the webinar that took place last month, the first webinar in this three-part series, which focused on End It With Orange, a campaign to dine, donate, pledge, share, and wear to fight childhood hunger. And then next month, we will wrap up this three-part series with a webinar on Thursday, November 13th, again at 7:30 Eastern Time, focusing on making food drives more meaningful, overcoming common food drive challenges, and how to participate in National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, which is November 15th through the 23rd. With that, we would like to wrap up this webinar. We thank all of our presenters again for joining us and providing such thought-provoking and inspiring strategies for addressing this important issue. And please look for follow-up messaging where you can find this information and more to support your project. Thank you and good night.